I've chosen this song deliberately on panpipes and then a panpipe random array to follow. Around 60 minutes, that's my marker for this. This is without a doubt the hardest thing I will do in my life, up to date, and who knows what goes beyond. Sure, I have a dream. We all have a dream. Well, I have many dreams. What's particularly hard and equally powerful about doing this now, this video, this is real time. In other words, divine time, being divinely present. I want to try and be as clear and calm as possible, but with so much to say, it will, it'll be hard not to let the emotions come in, which they do, and that's really at the crux and core of humanity and what's happened on this planet and how things have orchestrated and rolled and what's happened to me directly, what I've observed and experienced. Already I'm going off. To talk from the heart like this, in divine time, in video like this, is basically to be open and honest. Take with it what you want. I'll be opening up my heart and putting all my vulnerability out there. In one side it does show great courage and shows strength, should I say, strength via courage, but then it also leaves you open to attack and abuse what I've received all my life. It is what it is, and my story is as important as everyone else's. Having the courage to come forward and say your story is one thing, to then be disregarded, disrespected, brushed off, denied, shamed, blamed, all the scapegoating under the sun, whatever, all this toxic behavior, illustrations of the illness in the hearts of man. Well, I'm a part of it. So, with so much to say to you, I keep coming back to the one question, really. What's up? Beatles. Yeah. I find myself asking myself, what is the point? I have said and shown myself to you and your unit, the longest relationships I've had, and it's been the same attitude and response with slightly changing and varying behaviors over the years. I've watched closely every element of it, not just you and that unit, but all the humans around me, all the institutions, all the abuse I've received as your classic outsider that I am. And how everyone is so programmed beyond oblivion, reenacting to, crucify and murder and ostracize, and a whole long list of adjectives. The outsider, the proverbial outsider. And look what's going on this planet right now. Well, where can I begin? I've got lots laid out in front of me, notes, emails, things printed out. I figure I'll start with this image. In a lot of ways this is archetypal. It's just, you can't reinvent the wheel, you can just give your version of it. I wonder if this rings any bells. This is a powerful image to me, and is possibly / probably my most proud bit of my journey. And this is nothing, there's no ownership of this symbology. I mean, this is inspired by yin-yang imagery, which is no one can lay claim to really. It's, a part of this universe. It's all a perspective. Is it the dark side rising and the light side falling, or is it the light side rising, the dark side falling? It's not even light and dark, it's all a perspective, yin and yang. But really, for me, this is the circle of life. I'm going to come back to this hopefully in this video, because there's lots that is illustrated through this, what's represented along my journey, which illustrates back and reflects back to you and your unit, and behaviors that have directly come, even though you thought you were hiding things. And I have to say that with regards to the unit that I was born into, your unit, if you want to call it that, there's no ownership really, it's an illusion. There's way too much bad blood, unacknowledged bad blood, a lifetime of toxic habits really, brushing things on top, ignoring, avoiding, unacknowledged darkness really. And that's just a metaphor of the illness of man and this entire world. We are going through the proverbial dark night of the soul. The night is darkest before the dawn, and the dawn is coming, this old adage or whoever, but that is more relevant now than ever. And then my story, as an individual on the micro level, couldn't be clearer sort of personification of that. I've effectively raised myself. You can't imagine what I had to deal with in those first 18 years, that school sentence I served. There's no better way than describing it than that. I don't know what your thoughts, I can totally put myself into your thoughts and heart space of what your thinking was and agendas and motivation for your decisions. And, I'm not here to judge your decisions. That's your path. It's your soul contract. I'm incredibly grateful for the life I've had. Everything. All of it in perspective. It's, been exactly when and how and what I've needed, even though it has been in very traumatic. And trauma didn't start with you or I. It's just been passed down, inherited. I've heard you say this many times, and I wouldn't be surprised if you're holding on to that sort of card you play, inherited, or you're born with an hereditary physical disease, illness. No, the physicality is just manifestation of the non-physical, and it's emotional stuff that's passed on. Emotional trauma that's passed on generation upon generation, this long chain of pain. Well, if pain you need to face the pain to break that chain. I have been doing that pretty much all my life. First making sense of this strange world that I've come into. So I've had to guard my heart and protect my heart and protect myself all my life in this world of narcissism really. Everything has been debased beyond oblivion, but in the world of... I sat down earlier today. I've gotten ahead of myself. Anyway, I'll get back to the date and time. Earlier this morning, sort of sat down to write a few notes. Have a read of that. I wonder if this means anything to you, or if you're interested in any of this stuff. It's very relevant. This affects everyone, every human really, in one way or another. And I'm certainly not above any of this. I don't look down on any of it. I've behaved in all these things. This is part of my journey too. I wonder if you especially look forward to this little subtext here. Well, my plan today is to make this video for you. In my heart, even though I'm doing this for me and for my journey and trying to move forward, even though I will continue to carry for the rest of my days what I carry in here, which is the spirit of you, and it's the spirit of a lot of humans around me. But really, ultimately, I'm doing this to say goodbye. We never get a chance to properly say goodbye. I had a chance to say goodbye to your mother. I was there at her end, if you recall. I also witnessed how what you've carried in your heart all your life and not faced but the energy that you reflected back on her, and that sort of darkness and negativity that I believe has always been unacknowledged. It's hard facing that stuff. That is the hardest work we can do in terms of our growth and self-development. Yeah, I felt what you projected onto her and how you treated her, and she left this world with in a way, a broken heart, and that will be passed on in this chain of continued generational sort of cycles, pattern of behavior. It won't with me, it ends with me. However, I do pass on what I pass on. Anyway, going off on lots of my talk. Today is a very important date in my journey and my history. So today is the 17th of December 2023, Sunday the 17th of December 2023, and it marks exactly 2 years since Friday the 17th of December 2021, where everything changed for me. This was only day one of what turned out to be, and I didn't know until I was released, but a 6.5 day long day and night. But there was no day and night to me. I was effectively awake the entire time, tortured, suffered the most incredible attack I wouldn't wish on any human, and this is sort of long-running war tactics, psychological war tactics, the true terrorism that you carry with you up here. It's all here how we I don't want to preach. A part of me wants to talk to you about what happened on this day, the lead up to it. I've marked year 1, Imogen Dental, where it really started. Going there with not 1 but 2 rotting teeth, the caps broken off to reveal what's underneath, the rotting and decaying tooth, causing suffering below the gum line. Going there for an emergency extraction, and then they orchestrated what they did. And then a cafe around the corner, and then the police, massive assault, intimidation, unlawful arrest, kidnapping, severe assault, and then orchestrated over to Ashurst Ward, the de-escalation room in Littlemore, glorified Littlemore Mental Health Hospital. It's a hell. It's a prison and a hell, the worst kind of man-made structure, where I would choose prison incarceration. Not that I've experienced that, but I would choose that over this any day. This kind of incarceration is a far, far worse up here, especially when they withhold what they withheld. So today might be 2 years, or is 2 years since this date, which is forever etched in my psyche and memory. But it feels like it was 2 weeks ago, or even 2 days ago, as fresh as it was. I'll be carrying that. I can talk you through to minute detail so many things that happened. You're on such high alert and such a heightened state, a perpetual heightened state of a panic attack, super defenses, super protecting yourself, incredible, all alone, while all these masked strangers righteously following their orders, identifying with their title, doctor, mental health professional, policeman, whatever, but ultimately a human before all of that, but thinking they're righteously doing following their orders from above. Awful experience for me. But believe me when I say, a part of my journey, a part of my destiny. It might have been the single greatest trauma in my life, which I'll carry for the rest of my days. This was the single greatest treasure. So much happened over those 6.5 days while I was on the inside, and then unraveling and vaguely putting the pieces back together all this time since then, and I will for the rest of my days be carrying it and putting it back together. But what I've learned and what's been unearthed from that experience, let's just say a lifetime of repressed trauma and repressed actual direct attacks and direct negativity projected and cast down directly onto me, especially from you and your unit. In your different ways, you all were awful to me. You can pretend and talk all you want, and even write your email, even put together a letter. This is unopened. You recognize that handwriting. While I'm on the inside, thinking this is glorified words, your words. No, absolutely not. I'm done with all your words. That's what you all represent, a family of this. You're not sinners. You're not born evil. It's all learned and passed on, generational. Utter narcissistic shit. Toxic. And all filtered down and scapegoat, directed, funneled down onto me. And believe me when I say that it doesn't end in your generation. Your daughter has, like, what I've witnessed in brief moments, and that's all I needed to see in 2020. Yeah, that was enough. I was appalled at what I saw and learned there, and it didn't surprise me, but it still shocked me to witness it. The same themes happening, and it's as unhealthy and unnecessary as it is precisely what needs to change and needs to be addressed, expressed, and the desperate healing needed on this planet. Anyway. This is nothing more or less than the attack I sustained on this day and then the following days, and then what followed my release, and still on and off, and it's still in the background, still on the system, all complete and utter fictional record painted and created on me based on false allegations. Your own son, for example, your almighty firstborn, what he did in 2020, following his ambush on the 16th of June 2020, uninvited, only days after I'd left your daughter's new home that you've helped to, acquire and move into a hugely oversized version of Ashland. I've said that already in these emails. There's a lot of emails printed out here over many years, which illustrate a lot. If you're going to ever go over it, I doubt it. I don't really want to get into that, but this just falls into the category of actual, painting a picture of really what's so obvious. It's obvious to me here, and I carry it, but no one wants to address this. Well, you lot certainly don't, because it's always been the same attitude. I don't expect anything to come from this now in response from you, and I don't expect you to understand, or rather, should I say, I expect you to not understand. I expect you to do what you've always done, and that's your journey. However, part of this video, a little later, I do want to, with my goodbye, wish you a blessing and wish you my best. We'll get on to that. There is truly so much I could say about this date, the lead up to it, what happened to me, the assault, the intimidation, just straight up unlawful, what does that even mean? Just abusive behavior. The police, my God, the different institutions of this society's wicked society we're all part of and perpetuate by feeding into it, are all effectively criminal, masterminded by the dark forces of this world. Here I've, next page here, bring this name, another almighty title, an MP, an arranged call, 2 times, not once, after being humiliated in the weeks leading up to this by Imogen Dental, private practice, when I went there in agony for an emergency extraction, and they're happy to take me for one appointment and then send me away, not having done what I'm there for. Just take a glorified x-ray and then look at the x-ray and say, yes, you need an extraction. I'm like, hello, you haven't even acknowledged that I'm in pain. Not a single one of them in this so-called dentist practice actually asked, hey, are you all right? Or I'm sorry about the pain, or can we use something for the pain? No, send me away, and book another appointment. So keep me in agony for a later date. And then in the later date, a week later, is when they refused the appointment, all centered around, I wouldn't wear a mask. And I told them I'm exempt. And they said, oh, prove your exemption. I just calmly said, no, actually, that's unlawful. You can't ask me or anyone that. I don't need to prove anything to you. It's my choice. And then that quickly escalated to the police coming. They're calling the police. Police quite literally pushing me out. That's assault. I'm sat down calmly on a chair while they're standing in front of me, intimidating me. 2 uniformed police officers in masks, righteous cunts. I told them, hands off my property. When they're picking up my bag, get out of there. And as soon as I was out, their whole demeanor changed. Oh, they're suddenly their friends. Hey, you're okay. It's like fucking awful humans. So conditioned, weak, cowards, and all these adjectives doesn't make someone a bad person or a sinful person, but that's what's being played and orchestrated through the emotions. Weakened minds, undeveloped hearts, emotionally undeveloped humans on this planet, across the board. It's hard. It's hard having to look at it. Hard to look at it for what it truly is. It's also, from my particular perspective, when you can see what's needing to be done, you can see what the healing is, you can see it's all right there, right in front of you to reach out and grab. So much work that needs to be done, and it's so painfully obvious what needs to be done, and no one's doing it. Who the fuck am I to preach to you or to any fucking human what they should or shouldn't be doing? Everyone's doing it. Everyone's so closed, defensive, feeding into that their weakened states instead of trying to build their strength. Anyway, on this date in the morning, I'd arranged with this amazing toy. This serves a purpose, alright? It's as fun as it is scary to use, because you really put yourself out there. But hey, for fun purposes, you can sing songs. You can really engage humans with this. Well, they consider this a weapon of mass destruction, or this was my tool, standing on a street, free speech, to draw attention to the utter discrimination and awful treatment that I was treated by Imogen Dental. And I went there once, all alone. That was scary as hell. Relive a trauma, huge panic attack. Come down on that, took a day. That was hard. No result from that. Went back a second time, and this time had arranged a video call with this man. He fits the profile of MP, identifying with his title. All doctors, all these MPs are the same. I don't even need to engage a single other one. This is the one and only one I've had the briefest engagement with. He called his video call with me, a scheduled time to have a video call, human to human, as a surgery. Can you believe it? I can believe it. I just still laugh inside, and it's so indicative of what it's indicative of. It's all fucking sorcery. It is. All these words humans use have been debased, but still used for their power. Anyway, I made it clear to him on a video call, holding my phone in one hand, this in the other hand, standing outside this dentist's office for the second time, to bring attention to this story, holding my phone, the headpiece in my ear connected to the phone, so I'm talking into my microphone that's going straight to him, and yet talking into this so everyone can hear me, and this almighty weak coward, thinking he's I'm over here and I decide, my opinion counts. And I made it clear, this isn't a discussion, this is for you to listen, and at the end of it I only have 2 questions for you, 2 obvious questions. I made it very clear at the beginning before I start going. 2 questions were simple. Where's your stance on discrimination, which is a rhetorical question. He has to give his little practice responses of an almighty MP and glorified talker. And then the second part, the leading, because the discrimination is what's highlighted from the dentist, but it actually goes way deeper, what's really being illustrated. And no one will face this. No one wants to stand up in the truth. This is what I'm trying to do. And you stand in the truth all alone, and you just receive attack. Silencing, varying forms of silencing, censorship, And the second question was, where do you see this going? Because at that time, the digital ID sort of agenda was being carefully sort of, slowly just rolled out, and the idea put out there. Look how that's evolved over the past 2 years and where this is going. It's so painfully obvious. He gave his response at the end of it, but he came with, much like his answer to at the beginning when I asked, tell me, why are you calling it a surgery? Why is it that? I asked him that especially because I knew already how he'd respond. I wanted to see in the video and hear this voice of a stranger show who he really is. Right? His pompous talk, British almighty talk of, surgery, and he mumbled something. I'm just like, I'm shaking my head like, yeah, you've just already shown your colours. And then when it was his time to answer the questions, he gave a basic answer, but he immediately was waffling on to other things and unrelated topics. And I just cut him short. And I was like, no, look, I'm going to cut this off. I'm in a panic attack, having retold the story for a third fucking time. And I'm in a state. I'm having a panic attack. My heart's jacked. By the way, my friend this time was filming the entire thing, so it's all evidenced as my defense. Even though the police and their allegations to have no base based on opinions, I'm actually backed up with what I've done. And this guy John Hall came with bloody whatever talk of. So I cut him off and I was like, look, thank you, but with respect, I'm going to end this call. I don't want to just sit here and hear you waffling on with all your, rambling of, MP practice talk. It's shallow, meaningless. It's the walk. I'm personifying the walk, but with a lot of talk of the story. And then he didn't like that I cut him off. He obviously felt a little humiliated or put down. He should be put down. He then sent an email, whatever, and regurgitated and sort of went a little longer. I printed it out somewhere in here. And effectively said, said it in the email, it's a publicity, called it a publicity stunt. Seriously. The so-called MP is saying that about Joe Public, speaking a story that as a constituent of an area and just as a representation of what's going on in this fucking country in almighty Benson, South Oxfordshire. I mean, this is seriously quiet little posh cunt town of like South Oxford where they don't they're so prim and proper, carbon copies of the almighty royal family, because they're just a picture of health and good dynamics and a family that we all need to sort of copy and aspire to. No, you've worshipped the ground that family's walked on. You don't really know the truth of that family. You effectively, I'm just going to put it out there, they are utter Satan worshippers. They do satanic rituals where there's human sacrifice and harvesting of blood and drinking of blood, adrenaline-fueled blood of human victims on particular dates, harnessing the powers of this abundant universe for the dark arts. Yeah, it's some very dark and disturbing elements of this world, but they've always been there. What side are we going to feed? Anyway, going off on a tangent there. That was all on that morning of the 17th. After that was done, went over to, number 25 Cafe. That was a mistake. I should have moved on. Went there with my friend and had a, sit down to try and calm down, but I'm jacked up in a heightened state. And then that's when the police were quickly on me, and they were, intimidating and being all threatening and talking aggressively. A small table, as wide as this, next to the window on the outside of this cafe, out in public, particularly a part of the cafe, and they're standing there. He's young, late 29-year-old, late 20s, early 30s, masked up, very righteous, typical profile of police, how they've trained, programmed. I didn't open up any engagement with any of them. My friend did all the talking and explained what had happened, given them the information they needed. But that they had it was clear their agenda. They're trying to get joined from me, create more record under my name, which they came in as strangers, but they come in with a profile in their heads, what they've read on their system of what a criminal and bad person I am. Oh, there's more words to use to describe how the system is painting me as. And then they sort of walked away. At one point, I was just getting too much. I was like, I've had enough. I'm getting up. I got up, and this woman standing there is like, I'm going. I got up like this, and she says, no, you're not. And she pushed me on my shoulder back into my chair like this. I said, did you see that? That's assault. That is assault. You so much as put a finger on a police officer, they will be thrusting on the ground, knees on your neck, putting the cuffs on you, being just a hell of a abusive and bully cowards. But this so-called woman is, in such a heightened state, stressed, like doesn't know how to handle this, but following her instructions from above, told, oh yeah, high priority person, you need to get him or arrest him, or you can't arrest someone for an offense. All right, harassment is an offense, and it's, offenses work in threes, and then it becomes a crime. All right, you can't arrest someone. So much unlawful behavior. They eventually realized it's not going anywhere and walked away. And at this point, I'm filming sideways. I'm looking at my friend, and they're like, yeah, and I'm filming sideways. Got this on video. This woman walks away and goes, okay, we're going to go talk to the dentist. And when we come back, we're going to arrest you for not giving your name. Quote. That's what it said. I remember it clearly, and it's on the video. I mean, oh my God. Do your research on the law. Eventually they left. We noticed them come out of the dentist and go back to their car. They knew they couldn't arrest me while I'm still a patron of an establishment. They were, later found this out, they were just waiting patiently until I got up. And we, on the other hand, were waiting for them to leave, thinking, oh, they get in the car, hopefully they're going to drive away. We were stupid. Stupid. Just whatever, short-sighted or, heightened sight, who knows. But we waited for about 45 minutes, they weren't leaving. Eventually, my friend and I agreed, okay, we're going to just take a walk. My car was just here. They're parked just over there in eyesight line. My car was just here, also in eyesight line, small little village. And we decided, okay, let's take a slow walk around the block. Hopefully by the time we get back, the car will be gone. But no, they had their agenda. As soon as we got up and started walking in a diagonal away from their car, immediately, they were obviously waiting for that moment that we were done. Their doors so simultaneously opened up, and they were immediately out their cars and walking fast in our direction, and I was walking away. And they had to walk very fast. I was taking long kind of strides. My friends right next to me witnessed the whole thing when I sort of, walking briskly and made it clear, no, I'm not talking to you. It's my right. With my arms swinging like this. The male now, it was his job to do the arresting. He threw the cuff down. He arrested me under the veil of arrest. But you have to inform. I'm not going to preach to you about how it should run in a just way. But he sort of assaulted me from behind, snatched me, kidnapped me, whatever. From throwing the cuff down so hard to get it in sync with my swinging arm, he threw it down so hard it stopped the blood flow to my hand instantly. I felt the instant change in my hand. I mean, you know what it's like, and you're going to relive the experience just doing this. You know what it's like when the blood slows. You know that feeling, and then trust me, you'll know when it happens to you, when it's immediately stopped. And then you'll know it's just a matter of time. You sustain that, no circulation to the hand, eventually it'll fall off. Following their ridiculous protocol, by the book, get me into the car, the back seat, and the arresting officers now, it's break time for them. They've done their job, and they're sort of standing at the front of the bonnet. I'm sat in the car, sitting on my hands with my left hand, no blood in my hand, sitting on my hands now, for about 45 minutes with a new late 20s, early 30-year-old white cunt looking at me with such fucking, and waiting for me to open my mouth, create more record. I mean, I had the presence of mind to keep absolutely quiet. Took one moment I couldn't bear to look him in the eyes. I'm so fucking furious, but I did take one moment to look at him, to get that look, to look into his soul and see these eyes of him looking down on me. I know when humans are looking down on me. I've had it all my life. Yeah, that was awful. Then to see these arresting officers, relaxed and having a cigarette, checking their phone, life's all hunky-dory now that we're on break. Eventually it was time to leave, and this new person in the car and someone else was driving me. And I had to say, oh my God, I wonder what these police would say if, the blood was stopped to my hand and what that would feel like. They were quick to pull the car over and do a readjustment by one kink, carefully, me pushed down so they can get to the cuff. Don't take the cuff off and let the blood come back, but just carefully edge it, just one kink, to basically give some relief, but barely any relief. I mean, that would sort of vaguely allow some circulation, but that was still painful. Anyway, I mean, there's so many more stories I could tell you. The assault, taking out my piercings, assaulting my mouth, and I quietly and calmly didn't consent, and they made out it's so important. I had 2 piercings there. One has been taken out, took about 10 minutes, assaulting my mouth. Right where I'm in agony for 2 decaying teeth that are still not resolved. They get full view, 3 of them. There's one person doing it and 2 officers standing right over me, waiting for me And I said, like, what happens if I accidentally bite down because I'm so furious? And they took that as a threat and ready to fucking get aggressive on me. Such a fucking scary fucking experience, all alone. And they think they're such a high and mighty, like, oh, this is our, like, den and whatever. They'd hold me for 12 and a half hours, about midday to 12:30, midnight. 12 and a half hours, not a thing to eat, not a thing to drink, no phone call, nothing to read. Just kept me in there, not even telling me why I'm arrested, what I'm arrested for. Someone blurted out harassment, which is not an arrestable offense, I know that. And then it was like an allegation of harassment. Well, again, it doesn't matter what words you use. You can't arrest someone for that. They had no grounding for it. And they knew it, and they couldn't hold me. However, my fear said they orchestrated for 3 humans, more masked up strangers in sort of smart lab coats. There's this guy, this name, and then a Jasmine, surname withheld, and no title. Another woman, brunette woman in a mask, so you're just another stranger. And then a Dr. Merson, masked up, short, grey-haired, oh man, I know the types even before they open their mouth. And then Dr. Alexander Langford. So these 3 strangers there come there, following their protocol with their pads. And in my furious state, I'm still speaking fucking clearly. Excuse my language, but deal with it. Yeah? That question. Read it. An honest and real question. I asked each 3 of those humans 3 times each. Yeah? I know how this law, I've had to have a fast track of all this systematic shit and how to play the system or how the system works. Surprise, surprise, they withheld their answer technically. All 3 times I asked, each of them withheld. They couldn't give an answer, didn't give an answer. It's the net results the same. But that says everything you need to know, because that's really the leading question of what's really going on. However, of course, surprise, surprise, they're all in agreement when we sign it. Yes, mental health act. He's acting erratic, or he's angry, he's suicidal. Mental health act. Send him over to Littlemore, and then hold him. Isolation, incarceration in one room, the de-escalation room of Ashurst Ward, an all-white room, very small, hard bed, and then a sort of barely any room, and then a sort of slightly adjoining sort of toilet and shower and basin, all white. Amplify the light, daytime, it amplifies daylight, and then 24-hour suicide watch protocols. But there's no justification for this, but this is what the protocol they're running, so they can orchestrate their torture and then feel righteous and justified about it. It has fucked me up. It does fuck up any fucking human. And 28 days, according to their sort of legislation or ruling or whatever, is the time they can keep you. No human could survive that time. There was some divine intervention and protection from Violet. I'll get into that in a second. Yeah, the spirit of her has always been with me. I mean, I had an incredible bond with her when she was still with us, but I was still too young to understand the wisdom she imparted to me when she was still with us. But she spoke some incredible wisdom to me in speaking in metaphors and stuff. Told me things about you, which has continued to teach me as I grow, in the time she's gone. If this means anything to you, I don't really care, but this is me and my journey, so take it or leave it. I've always just given you the real me, as I've always given everyone, and that's somehow used against me. Well, they were doing that in the prison cell and orchestrating me to go across to, the Ashurst Ward. I said that, 6.5 days in that fucking cell, being sort of watched non-stop, all kinds of awful tactics, shaming, gaslighting, withholding information. Not every one of the workers there treated me with disrespect, but I'd say 80 to 90% had a condescension and a darkness in them, even if they were completely unconscious to it. The very next day, after the 17th of going in there, no sleep, a trauma and a panic attack, a sustained panic attack, past 12:30. So from 9:30 start, past 12:30, and then not sleep that night because they're coming in every 30 minutes to turn the light on. Yes, part of their suicide protocol to check you haven't spontaneously died or suicided yourself. Not that it's possible. How can you possibly suicide yourself? But I tell you this much, you put any human in that kind of treatment, in that kind of environment and treatment, and you sustain that non-stop, that human will eventually be driven to want to end their own suffering. It's awful what I've been through to you, and then that pales into insignificance what, the strength of the human spirit and what other humans have endured. Anyway, it's all relative. That was really, truly devastating for me. No sleep, severe headache, migraine headache, beyond oblivion. Yeah, I really didn't want to actually relive and retell the story, but I've gotten into it. I'll just go on my notes then. They send in another young doctor to take a full medical of me. I give them, that's the one thing I gave consent to because I know how healthy I am. He did everything. He did everything down to checking my nails, checking everything. Heart. One thing I didn't consent to was taking my blood, even though he kept trying in different ways. Like I'd suddenly change my mind. Oh, sure, you can just puncture my skin and take my blood. No, I calmly refuse all of this, even though I'm in a supreme heightened state. You can't imagine it. You really can't imagine it. Those that have experienced it, been inside on my side of the experience can imagine, but still managed to remain as calm as I could. Then it was 3 days later of no sleep and torture, and your mind slowly unraveling, and you're watching it happen, not knowing how long this is going to go on for. The most torturous experience. You don't know anything. They're deliberately keeping all this information from you. Then on the morning of 3 days later of that, the 20th, is when, and obviously this is unexpected, it's all like a vague ambush. 5 humans walk in to this room with their clipboards and their lab coats, masked up strangers. This man, who's the responsible clinician, awful example, well, a classic example of the awfulness of how humans are being used. Identify with their title. You've married one, almighty Dr. Cardiothoracic Surgeon. Really? Anyway, him and 4 others. I make a point, shit, I'm all caught off guard, like, oh shit, obviously this is something important, I need to be on my sort of a high alert, even though I'm in a heightened state. I deliberately sort of faff around or grab a piece of paper and a pen and make sure I take each of their names down. They give their names, and what's your proof of ID? Show their lanyard. I mean, that's not proof of identification. Anyway, there you go. They each give their names except for one human, a wretched fucking woman, Estelle, the occupational therapist. Oh, and what's your surname? No, you don't need to know that. What? And I turn to the rest of them. Did you hear that? She's withholding her surname. And they're a complete blankness. Then they have to sort of stick together as a team, even though they're listing darkness and criminal behavior. And I made a point of saying it again. So you're not going to give me your surname? Oh, you don't need to know that. It's not important. It was like, okay, made a note of that. All of this is glorified hearsay and notes because I can't prove it. Anyway, enough of that. I got lucky to get out of there and get released 23rd, and I've been the immediate aftermath of that. It didn't stop. They were harassing me, mental health and police were harassing me. The police went to that farm where I was based. I'd only moved in there a month before, and they act like they know me, and they interfered. They're a wretched family, that really. I don't want to talk too badly because one of them is not with us anymore. The patriarch there, that's that matriarch-led unit. Awful, generational trauma that's there as well, and a parallel with this unit. The police then are there at the farm, tactfully doing what they do best, planting little fictional seeds in their minds and leaving a message. You need to pass on that to me, that if I need to turn myself into Abingdon police station, or they're going to find my car and arrest me, as if like I'm some criminal on the run. So planting that idea in their minds. Oh, and he's a conspiracy theorist. Yeah, because I went to a few marches, got myself on the grid, because there's me having fun with this, and banners, and just singing songs with all the awake people of this world for all of 2021, pretty much. Photos taken of me, because I remember which banners I used for each one. Photos of me taken in April were then resurfaced in the media in the immediate aftermath of being released. And suddenly my friends are like taking screenshots and showing pictures. Oh, look, you're in the paper and stuff. And it's like, designed to rattle me. I was in such a state, I wanted to just run away. I wanted to flee the country. That's what they were hoping for, maybe. You know, my passport would turn up at passport control somewhere, and there'd be some like red flag there, and you know, somehow get me carted back into that incarceration of mental health cure. You know, what they ultimately want to do is, you know, get their cure injected into you. I could tell you the story of how they deceived me and coerced me, 7 of them all around me, you know, to either take it voluntarily, the pill, or they got to the point where they grabbed me, and one of them would come forward with a tray and a needle, otherwise we have to force it into you. And I'm calmly saying I do not consent, but then eventually I had to. I mean, I went into a huge panic in that moment. It was like, no, don't inject me, I'll take it, man. You know, I'll take it by consent, but they coerced that. I can't prove it. That's what happened. Fucked up. And since then, I've spoken to a lot of other humans like me who are, in more words than this, broken by what mental health services have done to them, their attack. They are truly, truly broken, messed up. There's nothing wrong with me. I am beautiful the way I am, even though it's taken me a long time to get to that. But the upbringing I had was, well, relative training and relative strength building, but it was hard. You know, all of you really, you won't acknowledge this. I've got countless stories. I've said it already. Those emails of 2021 around your birthday, it's in here somewhere, long from goodbye and fuck off and die at Proton Mail. Yeah? That's, you know, you might think, oh, he's done it in anger just to disregard it. Yeah, I'm furious, but I mean everything I said, and I detailed the facts. And then each email I sent, you know, following that, copying in more brothers, because so many people in my world are completely oblivious. I kept it all secret. I kept it, you know, so ashamed of what awfulness in this unit, what darkness that I carry that's been sort of directed onto me. But no, I am growing in that and addressing it and whatnot. But those emails are very clear. I don't care what swear words I've used. It's not incoherent. It's very clear, detailing so many facts. And then you know, you so much you've overlooked, but there's a reason I blocked you all and I've cut contact a long time ago. I wonder if you can remember when last you saw me. I can remember when last I'd seen you. Well, there's a reason for all of that. There's a reason I do everything, you know, and yeah, it's part of my journey, what I need to do to protect myself, to guide myself, and to do what I know in my heart is right. I've never had help from any of you. You know, this would be an example of the first time I went on my own. And if you had any encouragement or support, I had no encouragement or support on this. Your husband actively, well, tried to sabotage me in this, and you've tried to sabotage me as well when this, an enlarged version of this, which was on the back of Al McGann. You know, it was 2013 or 2012. You come over to London, and in the space of 2 days, you collude with, like you've always done, behind my back, with your golden boy son, and sell that car behind my back. And don't forget that. You know, all these experiences are completely forgivable, and then completely unforgettable for me. But you can choose to just put it out of your mind, or just overlook it, and, you know, leave it long gone. Well, you carry all that energy with you. It's part of your journey. So I blocked you, and yet that doesn't stop you stopping by unannounced. Like after I've, you know, I'm done with all of them in different ways and stages, and yet you think after blocking you on phone and email and technology, you could still turn up unannounced. Oh, but I'm his brother. You know what? How Oliver orchestrated is on that 16th of June, and just walking into my home, and the front door happened to be open, and I don't know if he must have been waiting, scoping it out. Oh, the front door's open. He just walked in. And this was in the time period of history where we'd just come through the first strict worldwide lockdown, and that was when humans were still in the most fearful of each other. We were so estranged from each other. No one was visiting each other. We were scared to go into other people's homes, even familiar homes. And then he walks into a home he's never been into. He scared the shit out of my housemate. She was so fucking upset about that, and his attitude, oh, I'm his brother, and like, you know, so I can just do what I want, or walk in, not like invite himself in, or ask to come in. Anyway, I'm reliving all that energy. So much to say. I don't want to go through all these emails, but I want to draw attention to you get passed on another email address of mine. I've got a few, but from your golden boy son, thinking he's being a good son. Doesn't realize he's betraying me once again by giving you my personal details. He doesn't have my permission to do that. The authorities had my explicit instruction not to give out any details to all of you, having explained why I've cut you off, and I've explained enough overview of my story with you, but then purposely do that because they know that you have the biggest chance of triggering this response and this action and this talk and this energy, which you then tactfully use against me, turn around and use against me. Still all true, nevertheless. Standing in the light is standing in the light. Suffering martyr? You remember saying that to me as a child? No, I'm not a suffering martyr. I'm just a fucking human in the human form. I have always, followed my heart, which is what we all should be doing. Anyway, I want to draw attention to these recent emails from your husband. And especially this last one of his. You really should read that, what he shows of himself, talking to me this way. Thinking he's like, I don't know what kind of narrative he tells himself. Same as you. We're all so conditioned and intoxicated by self-deception. We're born into a world of deception, and then the worst of it is our self-deception. The story we tell ourselves about what's real and what we don't want to face and what's not real. Well, he showed himself in this email. This is technically the fifth and final time I've reached out asking for financial help. That's the only way you can help me. And relative to how much you've been helped in your life, family you were born into, how they effectively passed on their ancestral trauma, and it's effectively emotional neglect. Offspring of alcoholics, and you really did turn into your mother. As much as you resented her in her final days, and you carried so much resentment towards her, you just didn't know this, or maybe you just didn't acknowledge it. Who knows what you know? This is the first time, and he says in it, what I threw, one reference to this email, which you really must read. I keep saying that. He talks about threw it all away. Yet we've treated you all the same, all you children the same. Is that what you tell yourself? All my upbringing, I watched how you treated me relative to how you treated them, and how my siblings, your other children, treated me, copying your behavior, completely excluded me and ostracized me for being so different and being so weird and something so wrong with me. I'm the scapegoat for all the darkness that you don't want to address in yourselves. So just put it all on me. That's what I carry. And believe me, I am so hyper aware of all of it. It's part of my journey. Talks about throwing it all away and university, like that's the be all and end all. And I remind you, I've said it in the emails, and it's fact and truth, what your golden boy son, what you enabled in him, 5 fucking years of him not caring, and able to just piss it all, go out and piss away, money and have fun and not really care for what he was doing. That's why he was failing. He didn't give a fuck about that. And then eventually that piece of paper, almighty piece of paper he gets, and look what that's done. Is that something magically elevate him in society? Well, that's the way this world works, but it's completely false, complete illusion. He doesn't suddenly magically have, confidence, like, your almighty husband and his 2 pieces of paper framed and on the wall. Might as well sort of get like a placard of his title, Dr. Cardiothoracic Surgeon, put that on the wall as well. It's all illusions, mental restraints, or keeping us in the sense of limited and weak and whatnot. When I told him at the time, which you weren't there, present at that conversation, I told him, I won't follow. I'm not doing this because that's not what I want to do. I'm not an academic person. I will not follow what, at that time I worshipped that golden boy brother, and I was just following in his footsteps, and I knew same thing would have happened for me. I explained this to him, I won't. He didn't care, and I don't care either as well about this. It's not what I want to do. I went to him with the things I did want to do. I asked for 1,000 Rand to help me get started with this. Take a guess his response. A year later, that's 2003, 20 years ago. A year later, it's film school. My God, that really had an effect on me, denying me that amazing opportunity. Then a year after that, it was chef school. You know, a 2-year intensive full-time chef school for only 22,000 rand. Well, but that's for 2 years. And then I had 2 friends that did that, and they went on to, amazing work, artistic work, train up. Yeah, can you not imagine that I might have been good doing that? Missed that opportunity. Well, look, that's part of my journey. Those are 3 times in my formative years of a young adult that I reached out for financial help, and then 2 times in these later years. One of them, I'm gonna draw attention. No, that's the email last year from Goodbye and Fuck Off and Die. Long, many pages. I wonder if you'll read that again. But I draw your attention to an email of December 2019, before this world changed, back when we were all in a different headspace and heart space, back in the old days. No one can really remember or put their minds back there, but we were this whole world was different, humanity was different. And I wrote a poignant email and I said it was about 2 things, money and trauma. And the words there are as true then as they forever will be true. I implore you to read that again if you are willing to do this work, or not. That's on you. And again, the money side of it was making one more reaching out for desperate need of help. And then now this recent time, so that makes up 5 times. Technically that was, also to you. So technically I have asked you, but no response from you. All those 5 times I consider it to your husband, and that's 5 times the same response. And then in an email thinks you can talk the words, I've treated you all the same. You know, look how you've been helped in your life. Do you know what it feels like to ask for help, especially financial help, as a means to an end? Not just, give me money so I can piss it up against the wall or get high, or that's what you thought I was like as a kid. But no, I wasn't. I got high by the use of my friends. I didn't have money or anything back then, you know. And I was, that was my prerogative then. You know, whenever I have asked for money, it was for a purpose. For the record, your brother has helped me 3 times. Once with a laptop, an incredible tool. Another time with a phone, another incredible tool and useful tool, like a gift that goes on to keep giving. And then a 3rd time, if you know this or not, it was supposed to be a loan, but it ended up being a gift because he refused to sign a disclosure that I would pay him back £8,000. That was a big fucking deal. That was at the beginning of, it was around 2020 when I was made a sharp decision to move forward, make some changes. I've learned what I've learned from that, and I have words to share to him, along with an incredible apology for things I've said to him, but albeit still true. I've been furious at him like I've been furious at all of you, but I don't blame you. It's just what you've been conditioned by and what you carry. And you can numb it with all that poison, but it's still there. You know, you tried to shame me when I was 16 years old, and that institution tried to shame you as well, and me, caught smoking cigarettes in plain clothes with my friend and girlfriends at the time in Cavendish. Smoking cigarettes, does that not ring a bell for you when you were in university? Being shamed for, behavior that's totally normal. And you repeat that, you go on to fulfill that as your so-called destiny. Please look at this stuff, or don't. You can make peace, and that will form the blessing I will get into shortly. I want to talk about this. The first page of 4 pages, I think it is. All it says there, Verona van Geerso, Last Will and Testament. A hard copy in my hands, which I finally was sent. If you recall, I doubt that you do. So 2 years ago of this date, where this trauma happened. And then it was released 6.5 days later on the 23rd. That Christmas, hiding out and my friend laying low, trying to get sleep, but I still wasn't sleeping. Taking multiple Xanax to try and calm down. I was in such a heightened state, so much fucking trauma going through me. On Christmas morning, I had a breakdown. I realized I have to document the state I'm in. I did a video just like this. This was passed on to you. This was me, video monologue with Daryl, especially asking for this, because the spirit of Verona stayed with me close in my heart since she parted from this world. And that was part of her soul contract. She was the only one who defended me, by the way. She was the only one who stood up to your almighty husband in all those 7-8 years of my start of my life when he thought it was hilarious calling me whinger, humiliating me in front of his friends while he was drinking, humiliating me in front of my friends, calling me that, and then disregarding me. Shut up, whinger. I wonder if you can imagine what that does, what kind of conditioning that does to a human, treating a child that way. And that was witnessed by your parents, by his brother. They were all appalled but didn't do anything on it. That's part of their journey, by the way. There are stories about Paddy and conversation he had behind his closed doors about what he wished to do and with regards to me when I was only 2 years old, first time meeting me and seeing that dynamic when you were at that interim stage in Johannesburg, 1983, ironing out the details for Ashlyn. This is all part of all of our histories, but all of our individual history, it's part of our journey if you should so choose to acknowledge it. The history, what's happened in the past is nothing more than a guide to the present, and then the future is, the quantum realm of infinite possibilities, it's fucking crazy. So, the spirit of Verona, Violet, as she is to me, was guiding me, gave me protection, such needed protection when I was on the inside of that hell. And I don't know how I survived, but I did survive, and I managed to get out of there. Any day longer I would have broken. At any point I would have broken, and that's what they're looking for. And then they wait for you to break, and then they create so they can keep you there longer. And then, that's when people leave and they're completely forever a fucking a comatose version of themselves or whatever. I'm convinced, at the time, having still never seen this and withheld from me, and I asked for it many times after, and you withheld. My name is written on here. But I had an idea with her voice and coming to me. I had an idea that she had written some words in here, personal words that I needed to read. That's why I needed to see this with my own eyes. And there were no words in here, unfortunately. Not the kind of will and testament I'll leave behind for my loved ones. But my name does feature on this with a number next to it, and that has been withheld from me. That could be your greed, could be your selfishness, whatever. That sits on you. That's the only proof I have. But you have not treated me the same as you have your other children, how you've helped them, and how you've been helped and helped yourself. That's okay. I've made it clear how much trauma I'm living with here, how much work needs to be done here, how that I'm effectively and always have lived homelessly. Having a roof over my head, a bed to sleep in is nice and comfortable, but it's still not a home. I've never had a home. It's fucking stressful, and I've been homeless since and actually homeless for a short while, and then living in a hotel room, and it's like completely under the thumb of the system. You have to do what they say, so that's what where they want you to be. I've had to sort of refuse their help so I could just sort of step back and lay low and hide. I am in my mind hiding because I'm living in terror when they're going to come and take me away again. I'll only feel safe when I get out of this fucking country, but I can't see that happening anytime soon. Anyway, with regards to this, I don't want history repeating itself. And it will repeat itself if you put my name on any so-called formal document after you're gone. So please do not. Because I can already see what will happen if you do. Your almighty firstborn will do what he does best. I wouldn't even be surprised if he said the words something along the lines of, I knew them well, and I know what to do, and it's my decision or whatever. If there's something you want to do while you're still alive, I'm not going to hope for anything. I'm not even going to ask for anything. But you still have a choice. While there's breath in your body and a beat in your heart, you still have a choice. We always have a choice. I don't want to actually talk anymore about stuff that's right around me here. I want to get on to really the blessing for you. Let it be. Okay, at the end of this, I'm stopping that. I will just say this. This was a third blank still, but 2/3 This was my lifeline. This and some pens that kept me busy and I could just keep to myself. And I was on second time, 33 days inside of that mental hell. That was really hard at Warnford Hospital, sending me this, like, I'm so helpful with my words. That remains unopened and will never be opened. There'll come a time when I burn this. You can't make me read anything you send me. Okay, enough of this. There's some beautiful artwork in here that I'd love to show you, but now's not the time because I'll run away with time. However, I do want to bring this to a close and do it with some beautiful frequency. Listen to this. Every cycle has a morning. This is called morning. I just want you to find your peace, in whatever shape or form that means. It's not your fault what you've carried all your life, what's manifested in your body. It's part of your soul contract and your journey. I don't want to preach, but find your peace, woman, and rest in peace. That is my wish for you. Please, rest in peace. This is just a part of the journey, the life cycle that just never ends. Circle of life, never ends. I could talk about a massive awakening that's happening on this planet, felt in the hearts of every man, woman and child. Some of us are more aware of it than others, but it is still happening nevertheless. Night is darkest before the dawn, I said that. The dawn is coming, it's been said. This dark age is coming to a monumental shift into what's light, golden age, whatever words mean something to you. Despite all of man's orchestrations in this world, nature's kickback is always stronger, always wins. Many things going on that I would love to spend the rest of eternity talking with you. Not that we've had any relationship ever. We've never really connected. It's sad. Well, I'm still forever connected with you in deeper sense. And have faith, if this will help you find your peace, the work I'm doing and what I'm passing on. There's something else I want to play. Another beautiful, just gets me. Just feel this. I know you know it. Frequency. That's what it's all about. Frequency. Feel this. It's true. Okay, enough of that. I suppose this could also be part of a blessing, but I just want to say, without sounding preachy, but try to practice letting go. And that's so many levels of that. But letting go of emotions, letting go of thoughts, letting go of physicality, everything. Well, letting go of fear, that's the biggest one. So I'll tell you this much. When you let go of your fear, oh no, let me say it like this. Don't fear what you do not know and do not understand. Practice letting go. And letting go of fear, wow, I had a crash course in that in my experiences that I've vaguely touched on here. Well, I'll say this much, and it's been said before, this is timeless. When you let, and they don't want you to know, it's a little secret. When you let go of your fear, and all of your fear, truly let go of all of your fear, then you are completely free. It's true. Alright, I need to end this. And I figure I want to sing a song to you. And the words of it are in that email from December 2019, before this world changed. At the end of it, I quoted one of my favorite artists, such an inspiration, an absolute prophet, an incredible human angel on earth, what he did. I only found out recently he died earlier this year, so I'm a bit, I grieved that loss. And so I dedicate this to him and in his honor. I wonder if you know who this is, but that's irrelevant. The words are in that email, so I'm for you to go back to it. But listen to it now. This is me singing to you, and then it's also a message to humanity, all the brothers and sisters right now. So pay attention. And your measure for wealth by the things you can hold, and your measure for love by the sweet things you're told, and you live in the past of a dream that you're in, and your selfishness is your cardinal sin. And you want to be held with highest regard. It delights you so much if he's trying so hard. And you try to conceal your ordinary ways with a smile or a shrug or some stolen cliches. But don't you understand? And don't you look about? I'm trying to take nothing from you, so why should you act so put out for me? 'Cause emotionally, you're the same basic trip, and you know that I know all the times that you slipped. So don't try to impress me, you're just piss and paint, and don't try to charm me with things that you ain't. And don't try to enchant me with your manner of dress, 'cause a monkey in silk is a monkey no less. So measure for measure, reflect on my said, and when I won't see you, then measure it dead. 'Cause don't you understand, and don't you look about? I'm trying to take nothing from you, so why should you act so put out and sit there and wonder and doubt for me? Absolutely beautiful. And on that note, a final end, something specific I put as a dedication for another inspiration of mine, but some powerful words nevertheless. An illustration, my version of a Holy Trinity. Time is an illusion, construct of the mind. Could sort of show that as well.